Welcome back. As you can see, I have all the pieces to the Curio. They've been sanded, rough sanded. Like I said in the first video, wasn't sure if I was going to stain it or paint it. Obviously I decided to paint it. There's just too much stain on this Curio cabinet for me to take the time to go all the way down to bare wood and then stain it a lighter color. So we're just going to go ahead and paint it today. I'm going to paint it white. It's probably going to take a couple coats just due to the thickness and darkness of the stain. We're going to first fill in the holes that were left by the latch. If you remember over here that we're not using anymore, you'll see there's 3 holes there. And there's a couple holes inside. One there, it's hard to see. And then 4 over here. So that latch went all the way through when they drilled those screws through the wood. The screws were too long. They went all the way through, so we're going to fix all that up. You can see it's all rough sanded, so it's not perfect, but it should be good enough to hold paint. The one thing we're going to have to watch out for is when we're painting it, because the cabinet is standing up, it's going to have a tendency to want to run if we put the paint on too thickly. So we'll have to make sure we put on a couple coats, make sure they're thin coats so they don't run. As you see, I have my wood fill I was talking about earlier. The color does not really need to worry about matching the cabinet since this time we're painting it white. We're just going to use the filler, put it in the holes, and then come back, sand it if we need to, and then paint over it. So we're just going to put a little bit on our finger, come in here, fill in these holes. Like I said, may have to come back through and sand it. Just depends on how well it sits. Fill up 3 holes on this side, 3 holes on this side, and then there's those 2 other holes. I'm not sure what they're for. It's in the wood, so we'll go ahead and fill them since we have the filler. Here's what those holes look like now that I put the filler in them. You can see both sides. Next, we're going to look at that screw that had the head bit on it, or broke off. I have 2 different channel lock pliers I'm going to try and use to extract what's left of the screw. These are working just fine. Alright, so I was able to get that screw out of the hole. It's not zooming in very well. The screw up here at the top, if you remember the other video where the door fell off because I thought it was just stripped, and actually the head is completely gone. That's really smooth, so I'm not going to be able to grab onto it and extract it. So we're just going to leave it in the hole and just have the door with 1 less screw than it should have, or the hinges with 1 less screw than they should have. Next thing we're going to need to do before we start painting is to tape off the window that's on the big door on the top. I'm just going to use blue masking tape, just so that if I do get a little paint over off the wood, it won't go on the glass and I won't have to worry about to scrape it once the paint dries. This just saves a little bit of time in the end. If you don't have blue masking tape, like I said, you're just going to have to wait for the paint to dry and then use a razor blade and scrape off the excess paint. But this just makes it a little bit cleaner and easier to do. there's our first coat of paint. Definitely going to take a second coat. Hopefully not a third. I did not go ahead and sand where we filled in those holes. It was smooth enough, especially because we're painting. You can't even see where it's at. I know where it is. And you can see I have to do the other side of the door still. So that's going to take a little bit of time. I'm not going to just sit here and have you watch me paint. So next time I should have everything painted, at least 2 coats. I'll let you know if it took 3. I'm hoping not. And then we'll talk about the shelving and start to put some of the stuff back together. Thanks for watching.